Welcome to Define, the podcast about the moments that shape us. I'm your host, Maddie, life coach, yoga teacher, and curious soul. Each episode, I speak to someone about a defining moment in their life, the kind that flipped their world upside down, cracked them open, and led them on a journey they never expected. This isn't about headlines or hero stories. It's about real life, real shifts, and what it takes to rebuild after the break. So let's get into it. Hi, Hannah. Welcome to Define.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you.
How are you doing today?
We are good. Busy as always. Been teaching this morning, but yes, doing good. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, really, really good. I'm really, really excited to have you here.
Good.
I would love it if we could just start by you telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So my name is Hannah Lunn Courtnall, and I own Hannah's House Pilates. So it is a holistic and spiritual Pilates practice that's mat and reformer based. And we're a little bit different within our world of community. So when I set Hannah's House up, community was one of the biggest factors for me. It's one of my 3 pillars of the business. And I try and do a monthly community event where we get together outside of the studio and we just connect, because it's so hard as women to find friends and make friends. So I host, not only just teach, but I host a space for our community that we're building.
Incredible. And it's been, since I've been aware of you and the work that you do, it's been amazing to see exactly that, like that community that you've fostered and how you seemingly so effortlessly like bring people together.
Maybe a little bit. I'm glad it appears effortless. I'm doing something right. But yeah, I moved up to Derbyshire now like 4-ish years ago, and I realised how hard it is to make female friends. You don't just go up to someone and be like, do you want to be best friends with me? Like, it unfortunately doesn't happen. I didn't have any friends my own age when I moved up here. I didn't really know anybody. I moved up to be near to my grandparents. So my social circle was the 80-year-old women on a Wednesday afternoon with a glass of red, which there is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing wrong with that.
But when you're trying to get into, doing things with girls of your own age, it was really, really tough. So when I set Hannah's House up, it was one of the things, like, even just for myself, it was a great way to like connect with these girls and meet these women. And we've done walks at Chatsworth, we've done lunches, we've done pottery painting, we had our first retreat day the other day, we've got loads of exciting things coming up in the autumn. We've got temple spa events with the skincare company, we've got wreath making with Blum Floral, who we love, Kirsty. Loads of things going, and it's just, these women necessarily wouldn't have met had they have not taken that step and come forward and taking time for themselves. So proud of that one, I'll be honest. Quite proud of myself. But we're not just a Pilates studio.
Yeah, you can see that in the work that you do. And I think it's really inspiring to see and I know we've got lots to talk about today, but I just to say it's really inspiring to see in women who own businesses of like them creating almost the community or the business that they'd want, because you can see the passion and the commitment to it that they've invested. This is what I would want, so I'm going to bring it into the world.
Definitely. I think, and we will get into it a little bit, I lost my mum to cancer in 2018. Back then, she would have gone for like chemo in the morning and then gone to work of an afternoon.
Wow.
And it was a bit of a, like, back in the day, it was a bit of a boss move of like, she just got her work stuff on and sucked it up and went to work, and like, she was this such powerful woman. And I look back now, and now having learned quite a lot about our sort of holistic health and how we can take care of the whole of us, I wish she'd taken the time for herself. And I wish that there was something like this where you can show up exactly where you are today, however you are today, and just take a second. You don't have to have it all together all of the time. And it creates and fosters a space where you're allowed to just meet yourself where you are, rather than, don't get me wrong, we love a matching set and the aloe and the Stanley Cup and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't feel like doing that, you don't have to. And it's a space that I wish my mum had. So I'm building it in her honour, bless her.
Oh, so beautiful. And we're like 4 minutes in and you've almost made me cry already.
I'm trying not to cry myself, to be honest. I'm just not bad about it.
Yeah, I think we'll get on to more talk about
Mm.
kind of where you are now and this beautiful holistic offering that you have. But I'd love for you to just give us a taste or a flavor of what your defining moment or period is that you're going to share with us today.
So I've thought fairly long and hard about this because there were some spaces in my life that I think were turning points. My defining moment is reading the book Manifest by Roxy Nafousi. Now, I'd not long, literally less than I think 2 months that I'd been in Derbyshire when I'd moved up north. And I'd gotten into manifesting a little bit, but didn't really grasp the concept. Reading that book, having lost my mum, gone through grief, depression, addiction, loss, all of it, loss of self, loss of everything. That turned my life around. And that for me has led to I quit my job, I changed career, I've retrained, I put a studio in my back garden, and I get to do all of these things. It's been a busy couple of years. Reading that book for me was my defining turning point because if I'd have taken that one jigsaw piece away, I wouldn't be the person I am in front of you now. And I think some of the other things, if I'd have taken that part of my life away, I potentially still would have gotten here. But that book, go and buy it. I should be a rep for that book. I really should.
Yeah, you should be working on commission.
Where's my Amazon code?
I'm going to ask you more about the book in a minute, but I'd love to hear, you talked about kind of the puzzle pieces slotting in, and I'd love to hear what the puzzle looked like or what life looked like kind of before you picked up that book, before, you talked about a lot going on in life before then. Yeah.
When I lost my mum, she was like my reason to breathe. Like chemo treatment and her cancer treatment it was stage 4 cancer. There was nothing going on, unfortunately, that was going to be this miracle cure towards the end of her life. She was everything. We were best friends. I am her only daughter. We were literal, like, best friends. So when that ended, the loss for me wasn't just like losing a mum that, you're maybe a little bit more distant to. I lost my whole world and I let myself more than go. I just sunk into it and I didn't want to claw my way out of it. We went into like full depression. My job was nothing particularly going on in my life. I went to the doctors to try and talk to them about it. The only thing they did was offer antidepressants, which they weren't right for me. I didn't take, but it just ended up becoming, I would use alcohol to cope. If you looked at my personal Instagram, while it is private, by the way, just don't go and look. While after my mum had passed, I was out partying all the time, we were drinking, we were out having fun, we were living a life. And I look back now and I think, what a mask you put on to not deal with any of your feelings. I was just suppressing and suppressing and suppressing and drinking more and more and taking myself down paths that I knew my mum just wished she wouldn't have been. I wasn't proud of myself. She wouldn't have been proud of me. And it wasn't until I really you have to turn your life around. And I really started to think, actually, this isn't the life you kind of want to end up becoming, being. I was horrible to be around. I was quite vicious and quite angry, things that I now work on in therapy, which is lovely. And I just wasn't someone that I recognised. I really wasn't someone that I recognised. There was no drive, ambition. There was nothing other than going out on a weekend or a weekday, searching for the next layer to mask myself with.
And I'm wondering if you think back to that version of yourself that you were in that period, someone who'd, as you described, lost their world and were doing what you could do to cope, essentially, is what I'm hearing. What might you say to that version of yourself now?
I had a bit of an out of body experience. I hosted my first ever retreat on Sunday, and as I drove home, I was literally in the room of me, however many couple of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago now, where I was in my living room, wrapped in a blanket, hung over to high hell, couldn't see straight, couldn't function, and I stood in front of myself, and I was like, "You became this. That isn't your defining moment. This is a moment in time. But I now feel so that I can help more people because I've been her. I've been there and I've made a choice. And it's not just making one choice, it's making a choice every single day. Sometimes every hour of the next hour and the next hour, you have to make a choice to take yourself out of it. And it's really, really tough. And I look back on myself now and I want to give her a hug, want to give her some very, very tough love, because I used my mum's death as an excuse for a very long time to not pull myself out of it, and used it as a bit of a, not even a bit, as a total guard of like, I don't have to change. I'm going through grief. You have to leave me alone. And I look back now and I'm like, you need a bit of tough love and a cuddle, and you need to pull yourself out of it eventually. And I did. But it's taken years of work, and it will still consistently take years of work. It's not linear. Grief isn't linear. That growth definitely isn't linear. You have to just push yourself through. But it's a real struggle, because when you're in a depth of depression, sometimes you don't even want to like make a cup of tea, let alone like shower, get dressed, go out the house. I don't want to get off the couch, put water in a kettle, turn the kettle on. That's too many steps. When you're in the depth of a real darkness, it isn't a simple thing of like, I'm just gonna make a cuppa. There's so much more to it that your brain pushes you through. And I just think, look at you now. Look at what you're building now.
So there'd be some love, but there'd be some tough love as well if we were talking to younger Hannah.
Yeah. Potentially would have listened to you. Potentially would have told you to F off. Probably absolutely would have told you to F off. And it's so hard, because when you see people going through it, you know that they have to make the choice themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, quitting smoking, having that healthier life, like whatever your kind of hard is, it's that very cliche of you have to pick your hard. And at the time, I picked the easy option. I did.
And you talked a little bit about like putting the work in and how that's an ever kind of evolving process. And I think that we hear a lot, especially when you're in kind of the more spirituality world, about doing the work. And I think you've so beautifully just described then what that means for you and what that means, and how that can look for other people as well. Sometimes people say like, what does it mean to do the work? And I think it's putting that mirror up to yourself, isn't it, in the way that you did. And you said, I don't want to live like this anymore. And it's making that shift. And I'm curious to hear, you talked about, there was a bit of a turning point or an energy to change. And of course, we're going to talk about the book in a minute, but what was that shift that sort of suddenly woke you up to go, I need to do something differently?
It was nothing sudden. There are only so many hangovers you can have repeatedly. It was so often that it's actually now embarrassing to talk about. And a lot of people, even in my close life, had absolutely no idea how dark and hard it was, because you sort of don't want to admit that to people. And I'd grown out of the stage of it being like young and fun and 20s and we're going out, because it wasn't for fun anymore. It was fun at the time, but you look back and you actually think, no, you were doing that for the total wrong reasons. It was a slow and steady growth period of waking up and hating yourself, checking your phone. What did you do? Who did you upset? What did you say? How much money did you spend? And then I would repeat that cycle and repeat and repeat and repeat. And there were only so many times you can get sick of yourself. And it took a long time to just even start to really push myself out of that. I'd honestly say my sort of biggest mover was moving up to Derbyshire. So I'd moved away from the people I was going out with. I'd moved away from the lifestyle I'd created by myself. At this stage, I was basically living alone with nobody to answer to, but also in a really dark way, nobody to notice. So that internal, your sort of super close people knew, but did they know the depth of it? Did they know the extent of it? When I moved away, it was almost a blessing that I didn't have people to like go out and drink and go out partying and all of that. I didn't have those people, so I didn't go and do it as much. And then when I didn't do it as much, I felt better. And surprisingly enough, when you drink less, you feel better. And it just turned into quite an eye-opening stage for me. My career picked up. I loved the job I was doing. I didn't need to fill my life because I'd moved up to actually be closer to my family. So my grandparents are from Chesterfield, which is why I ended up here. And I filled my life in better ways. But it was a slow and steady piece of work. Honestly, took me ages. There was no aha moment of we're never going to touch drink again and we're never going to go out partying again. There was a lot of stone cold mornings of I cannot keep doing this. And then repeating that cycle. It takes a long time to come out of break.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea that there's this, it's almost this ripple effect. Like there's no shortcut to building a life that you love and a life that feels nourishing and supportive for you, because also there's this element of like you need to unpick the habits and build the new habits that do serve you, but also we need to learn what we like and what we love. If we've been in a position where we're using alcohol or avoidance or whatever it is, whatever that person's thing is, you suddenly, I've been there myself as well, have to go,
What now?
what is it? Yeah.
What
Yeah,
do I
what
do
now?
with all of this free time? Because I am not drinking and I am not hungover and I don't hate myself. So I could do something I enjoy. But what do I enjoy? Because it's been years. Have you read Atomic Habits?
I've got it on my bookshelf actually, but I haven't
Wow.
read it.
That habit stacking to change your life. So again, this is a book I read before Manifest, and I was trying to build in those better things. And it's basically the theory is when you're trying to add in a new habit, do it before something you already do. So if you want to say get better at your skincare, do it before you clean your teeth in the morning, and it's building into your routine. So I had fairly kind of rough daily routine of just, standard I really well about the day. And I would try and build things into my routine that were new, that I enjoyed, but that didn't feel like I was trying to turn my life around in 30 days. There's no magic pill. There's no quick fix. Those things are quick and cheap for a reason. They don't last and they aren't sustainable. You've got to continue to consistently want to make the change. It's a real choice to keep going through.
Mm-hmm. And so if we think of it as timeline, you're in Derbyshire, you're starting to build these habits. And then what brings you to this specific defining moment?
Yeah. So I'd heard on Instagram, I'd heard Roxy Nafousi had started to become quite prolific in the manifesting world. And I'll be honest, her book's actually just really aesthetically cute. It's this textured fabric orange that is just a really cute book. And at first I did not expect it to literally change my life. And I can picture the exact moment of I was sat in a bath, glass of wine, low evening, sort of really early in January of 2023. And I think I read this book in 2 or 3 days. I just consumed everything that she had put down, and a lot of it clicked. A lot of it was trusting in the universe. I'd gotten a little bit more into the spirituality and the crystals and the kind of realm of that woo-woo nonsense that 4 or 5 years ago, Hannah would have knocked you stupid if you'd have said, "Pop a crystal and carry it around and it's going to make you feel better." And actually, the more I read into this and the more it she's really, really honest in this book. And she comes from a point of drug addiction and alcohol addiction and partying herself. So it was quite relatable that she'd done the work herself. She has 7 steps that are logical to follow, that made sense. And she talks about your whole mindset shift. You make a choice to let a bad hour become a bad day, or you can just say that's a bad hour and we move on. It became clear to me of you could just read this book and put it down and it's a cute coffee table book, or you could do the work and give it a go. And I made my vision board. I do mine on Pinterest, and I look back at this 2023 vision board and it's mental, absolutely mental. The things I put on there to start with that had no real relevance. I wasn't a Pilates teacher, we didn't have a studio. My life definitely didn't look like it did now. There are things I put in 2023 that I have today that connect the dots so much because of putting it out and specifically asking for those things, rather than it just being I want to float about and be a millionaire and, car, nice house, blah, blah, blah. Like, the more specific you can get with it and the more guided you can become with it, the more real it is for your life.
Incredible. And for those who listening who might not be aware of kind of what manifesting is, would you mind sharing a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So manifesting is, on my definition on manifesting, is where you meditate and visualize on the actual life you want to live. And you have to get into your why. So we don't just want to be like a millionaire for no reason. Like, why? Is it financial freedom? Is it family protection? Is it generational wealth? Like, whatever your kind of thing is. Mine to start with was just a clear life. I just wanted a calm, collected life that I could level back down to. And it's doing the work. So you have to actually consistently do the work. You don't just get to make a vision board, say, and it just appears. Put the work in, put the effort in, consistently drive yourself to live your dream life. Because I think books like, if you've read The Secret, the law of attraction secret thing is like, just wish for this thing and the universe is going to hand it to you on a platter. Manifesting goes quite a few steps further than that. And it's like, no, you've got to put the effort in. And it encourages you to make a choice to do the effort every single day, rather than just say it's this dream man you want to attract. The example in the law of attraction says, clear half a space in your wardrobe, park on one half of your driveway, and you're going to create space for this dream man to just break into your house, hang his clothes up, and pop his car on your drive.
Do you know what that reminds me of? A preview of the Kardashians I've seen, where Kim Kardashian said she was building another wardrobe for the man she was trying to
What are
attract.
you going to do? Break into your house and start building? Come on. If you're not, like, even say for that example, if you're not going out to places and meeting people, if you're not putting yourself, whether it's online or it's dating in real life, asking friends for connections, however it is, if you're not doing work, if you're not working on yourself to become the best version for you, so that hopefully when you meet Mr. or Mrs. Right, they're the best version for you and you're the best version for yourself. If you're just sat on the sofa at home, it ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody breaks into your house, call 999. Don't ask if they want space in your wardrobe.
I love it's this idea of being intentional. I think that's the word that comes up for me.
Yeah, definitely. I use this again. I use this in my manifesting workshop on Sunday. If you visualize taking yourself shoe shopping, so we've gone to a meadow hall, it's chaos, there's shops everywhere, and you say, I just want to buy a pair of shoes. You're going to just see a sea of shoes. If you go and you say you want the most specific trainer, it's that New Balance, the 9060 in that specific stone that everybody wants, you're going to look for that brand, you're going to look for that colorway, you're going to look for the exact thing. Even in the sea of, say, New Balances, you want 9060, your brain is going to look for it. And there's a lot of science behind manifesting, and I love that it's backed in science. When you tell your brain you want something specific, it triggers the neuroplasticity in your brain to help you search for those things. So rather than just look for shoes, your brain goes, I want the stone colour shoes. I want the New Balance brand. I want it to be this style of that. And you trigger yourself to search and look intentionally for the exact thing. So if you say, I just want a Pilates business, say, you might just get a generic Pilates business. But if you can niche down and get set into the finer details and finding your why, get intentional with what you want, and the universe is going to bring that to you. Rather than just, imagine going shoe shopping in Meadowhall without a plan. You'd either end up with nothing or like 12 pairs.
Or just rocking on the floor crying, which...
Found a car on the way out because you forgot where you parked because you were needed to buy some shoes today.
I think as well, like in my experience of this type of thing, and I think sometimes some of us have done this type of thing without even necessarily realizing it's manifesting, which is, I think, awesome, is if we just take the shoe example, there's these other levels as well. Okay, we don't find the shoes might not magically appear in Meadowhall. Oh, but I start telling people I know, oh, I've been looking for these. Oh, I start, subconsciously like searching, seeking. And then I think it comes to you. So I don't necessarily think it always just arrives when you expect as well. There's this element of like, if you speak it into the world, which I think is such an important thing to do, like shout about what you want, what you care about.
Tell people in your life, because if you've got the right group of friends, they will mention your name in circles you aren't even a part of yet. When you tell people what you want and how hard you're prepared to work and how much it means to you and how real it feels, they'll mention your name. And they'll put you into spaces and in contact with people that you may not have even heard of, or you may not even be in that space just yet. But as long as you've got the right people around you, they're going to support and love you. And sharing in that vision. People sort of say, oh, don't tell anybody it's happening until it's done, blah, blah, blah. Like, ask for help. Nothing wrong with it. It's a very like masculine kind of energy of don't do it in secret, do it in private, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, let's build a community where we support each other.
Absolutely. And I think then you find, or my experience has certainly been that you find a lot more doors are open than you think, or you might have stories in your head about what is or isn't possible, who and wouldn't help you. And then, okay, and not everyone is going to be willing to help you at that point. But I think you find a lot more is out there than you expect.
Yeah, it is. And it's not being afraid to put yourself out there. It's a vulnerability because, I mean, I've got some very big plans for Hannah's house, some very big global international plans. And people can go a little bit like, oh, like, you really want to downplay that? Do you think you'll reach it? Are you reaching for the stars a little bit? But actually, the more you tell people, the more it becomes real for them. They see the vision. I've got clients already. I've only been open since January. I've got clients who know that they're coming to my retreats. So I want to open a space in Vietnam. They know that they're coming. It's not even built yet. We don't have anything other than the conversation around it. They're willing to part with their money already for something that doesn't exist because we talked about it so real and so like speaking it into existence. I'm not afraid of sharing that information because I know how hard I'm willing to work. That's the tough question, I think, with manifesting. Say you want the top of the mountain, are you prepared to do the climb? Because if not, something somewhere needs to adjust. Now, you either need to suck it up and strap your boots on, or you need to lower your expectations. And it's picking your heart because I don't want to lower my expectations. So I'm absolutely down prepared to do the work. But if I wanted an easier life, maybe I wouldn't pick such a big goal.
And I think it's that clarity that I could certainly see would stop people from starting on their journey.
That as well. If you don't know what your actual thing is, how do you want to feel? So if you're doing your vision board, say January 2026 for this year, for this next year, how do you want to feel in January 2027? Is she calm and regulated? She gets up early and she goes to yoga and she meditates. Does she want to be the most energized boss bitch, powerful woman in the room? She's got the spike high Christian, like Louboutin stilettos on. Become that person. Wear what she wears. Go to the places that she goes to. Does she go to yoga? Is she in the boardrooms? Is she in the meetings? Become the feeling, and then the world will deliver back to you. So if you don't quite know, like, what your big why or where or how do you want to feel? And just start to embody that forward.
Such a beautiful question. And I think that makes it so much more accessible for people who are like, oh, but I want lots of things. I don't know how to choose. And sometimes that can keep us stuck. But actually, a feeling and like sensing into everything you've described. And I think we both approach our business from a holistic standpoint of not just like mentally, don't just label the emotions, like how in your body do you want that to feel? How do you want that to look? And so, I mean, we could speak all day about this, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about, so you've read the book and you talked a little bit about some steps that you took about doing your vision board and things. How did that then go on to start to change things for you?
So for me, it happened really quickly. I did my vision board in January 2023. I do mine on Pinterest. I ended up quitting my job within days like actual physical days. It was coming. It wasn't a shock. I was going to, well, maybe for them, but certainly not for me. I quit my job within days, and I ended up going into a 9 to 5, which, if you know me, is a tough sell to sit in front of an office chair, sit in front of an office desk and all of that from 9 to 5. But it allowed me a calmer life. So I was in hospitality. I was doing 60-hour weeks. I was running around like a headless chicken for everybody else and had no time for myself. And that calm, quieter life came from my 9 to 5. I got my evenings free. I got my weekends free. I then had the time to deepen into my own Pilates practice, which has been with me for years, but you don't do it. I'll be honest, when you're in the depths of a depression, working out ain't the thing that you're up to most of the time. I think I've loved it. I went to a studio in Sheffield and started doing my reformer because I had the time to in my day. I had the time on my weekends to go to a reformer class because I wasn't at work for somebody else for God knows how many hours of the week. And I fell back in love with just moving my body and exercising and working it through. And reformer in particular changes your life. There is a mind-body connection to it that I have not found in another kind of workout ever. And I had a really, really great instructor called Faye. I asked where she trained. I just asked her. And she said with HFE, which is a UK-wide company. And I looked into it and I said to my partner, I'm thinking about doing my training, but I don't really know why. Like I had no kind of plan to quit this Monday to Friday job to start with. Wasn't sure about spending the money. It wasn't out of reach, but it's not just a couple £100. And I've had this conversation with him and said, what if I do this course and I don't do anything with it? I've just deepened my understanding of it for myself. And he kind of looked at me and laughed and said in a really lovely way, it's like, Han, you've got a degree that cost you £60,000, thanks to the UK education system, cheers, that you don't use. I don't use my degree. I've got a degree in fashion buying management from the University of Westminster that I haven't used once. So he kind of said, you love this Pilates right now, you love reformer right now. If all you do is deepen your practice and your understanding, you've had a great time out of it.
God, I love that mentality. Like, what a supportive partner, and so insightful. And he should probably sell Pilates courses.
Yeah, no. And I just think what a great mentality of yeah, it was a fair amount of money, certainly not like a UK bloody university degree kind of price. But if all I did was deepen my understanding of that practice and had a great time in my own classes, I've made myself better because of it. Now, I ended up starting on my training course, and something happened at my 9 to 5, and I ended up quitting my job the next day. So I won't get into that, but just don't need the drama back in my life, I'll be honest. But I quit my job and again called my partner and said, I think I'm done with this. They don't get to treat people like that. I'm out. We were just a bit like, okay, well, what now? That was in the June last year, 2024. And we had the groundwork for the studio started on my 30th birthday in August of 2024. And from reading, mate, balls to the wall. Reading that book, January 2023, starting this course the year later, having a studio built within months, I opened Hannah's house. I officially opened the doors January 2025, 1st of Jan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're recording this in the summer of 2025. And
Yep. And I've got my own brand of water bottles now.
You got the merch. You're smashing the merch.
The merch. Oh my God, the grip socks. Do you wear socks when you train? Do you wear grippy socks for yoga?
Not sometimes in winter.
I'll send you a pair of Hannah's House grip socks. I genuinely, and I realise they're mine, so I'm big myself. I back myself to the hill. They're magic socks. You can do anything. They're you can buy don't get me wrong, Amazon, Primark, you can buy grip socks. These are grip, capital letters, full stop grip socks.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. And we always want to support a local business, an independent business, than we do these big corporations.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just incredible to hear you talk us through that timeline, because it actually has brought to my attention how quickly actually your life shifted. And that's something that I wanted to sort of reflect back to you, of this tenacity that you seem to have to keep going, even in the face of uncertainty. And also, I'm noticing like this clarity in standing with what is true for you. You were investing time in yourself by going to these reformer classes, like building out, making a 9 to 5 so that you could, and then you stepped it up a level, invested in yourself to go to the course, like really just backed yourself. And you can see just so how incredibly like it's paid off for you, and that's why you draw
Thank
people
God.
in.
Thank God it has. And it's choosing how much hard work you want to do. It's really, really deciding of like, I could have just done that course and passed it and not done anything with it, or like done like a casual once a week session somewhere at a community space and just, people teach really regularly just these one or two things. I actually did, not that long ago, I did some work on my values, as in my personal values. One of my values is grit. I will claw myself any hole as long as I've chosen to claw myself out of it. And it's the grit and the determination of like, I've been through a fair amount of knocks in my life. When my mum first got diagnosed with, no, not first, sort of towards the end of her life, she first got diagnosed with breast cancer years ago, and it's come in and out of our lives. It ended up becoming brain cancer. It had gone all over her body. It was really traumatic. I was in my last year of university. The year before that, my dad had been diagnosed and he'd had a traumatic brain injury. So that was technically meant to be my last year of uni, but I had to defer for a year so that I could help take care of my dad. I moved back home from London to my dad's. I tried to go back a second year for my second final year. Mum got diagnosed with brain cancer. We took another year out and I went back for another go round. My mum passed away 2 weeks before I graduated. So I still, I try not to cry, I still put so much hard work into that. I graduated with a first class degree.
Incredible.
It was rough work. But if you don't put the work in, you won't get the result. That's your choice. You either do the work or you don't, but you take the consequence. And my choice was to do the work, and then I may not do anything with that degree. It may just gather dust somewhere, but I've got it and no one can take that away from me. Grit. Tenacity. It's probably a nicer word, that.
Hey, but grit's your words. That's perfect. And as we've explored through this conversation, we've talked a lot about things that you've learned and gathered through manifesting. I'm curious to hear, is there anything that you've had to unlearn in this period in order to get where you are today?
And people struggle. I call it woo-woo nonsense because it makes it more palatable for other people. People struggle when you talk about like, we're in our Lionsgate portal right now. So we're in the middle of our Lionsgate portal. It's starting to like build up until August. People struggle when you start talking about the universe and the planets and the stars and the moon and how connected we all are and blah, blah, blah. It bothers people because they don't relate to it. So even with like manifesting, if you don't like the language, or if people in your life don't like the language, call it a business plan. If you were going to start a project, hopefully you would put a business plan together. Even if it was buying a house, you go to your mortgage advisor, you see what's in the bank, you see what's in the ISAs. You don't just like pop on Zoopla and just, download it with a credit card kind of thing. You have to make a plan for it. So it's unlearning other people's like expectations and behaviors, and it's unlearning to listen to the outside noise unless they're your people and they're your noise. Zone out. I've got people now who would probably be listening to this, would have no idea. If you knew me 10 years ago and you met me today, that girl is not the same person. It's unlearning other people's expectations of you. If you decide today's the day to change your life and someone goes, oh, but that's not really you, you're the party girl, you're the drinker, you're the one that stays out till 6 a.m. I'm not. I like a 9 p.m. bedtime. I get up before 6. My first alarm goes off at 5:10 every day. Every single day, 5:10. Other than Sundays, it's my lying day. It's still up at like 6. It's pushing away people's like view of you It's
It's like their labels, isn't it?
You're a mirror. When you change your life, you're a mirror to their lifestyle. And they may not always like that reflection.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a them problem. It's nothing to do with you.
Mm. So insightful. And I think it's just everything you've said just resonates so hard, and hopefully it will with people listening. And that can be difficult, right? If you're starting to change your life, if someone's listening, they're like, gosh, this is me, or this is something I want to start doing. It can be really hard when you have people around you that might not.
And they drag you back down. And they don't even mean to drag you back down. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not doing it out of spite. But you are changing the status quo. You are rocking the boat. And you are the problem to start with.
Mm,
And you're either going to have people in your life that like, they're going to support you and love you and like have kind of wished for this change and knew you were meeting your full potential, or you're holding up a mirror that they don't like the reflection in.
mm-hmm.
Because if they're the ones going out, like, say you were trying to get fitter, eat healthier, get to the gym a little bit more, go to yoga, take care of yourself, if they're not doing those things with you, then they're like almost viewed or can view themselves as like less than because you're changing. There's a statistic on dieting, and the figures just got right out of my head. But the general statistic is if you and your partner diet together, you are a huge increased percentage more likely to do it and achieve it because your close friends, your family group, your house group is doing something together. If one
Mm,
of you chooses to and the other one doesn't, you're so much more likely to come back to your comfort base level because that was your easy start point.
mm-hmm.
And it's putting your head above the sort of like line and saying, I want to change, you're going to make people uncomfortable. That's a them problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like I said, like everything you've said is just spot on. And
I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like I'm really.
yeah, not at all. It's just, I think I'm thinking about people who might be listening, and I think you're so right. And I think it's difficult, but it's sitting with that and knowing that the people that are supportive, are meant to be there, will stay there, or you will attract new people into your life, or you are holding up a torch and going like, this is possible, I can do it. And then suddenly those people who maybe unintentionally were bringing you back are like, oh, maybe I can do that too. And you wake up and all you and your friends are going to a park run every Saturday when you would have been hungover.
One of my clients is starting doing park runs. I'm doing my Catch to 5K at the moment, very, very slowly. And she was like, oh, it's actually really good. And I'm like, do I want to go to a park run now?
It's awesome.
We were very much like both non-runners, definitely not going to a park run. She's gone and loved it. So I think, well, she loved it, I can go. And it's that like elevating each other and taking that step up and elevating your friends and the people around you. And they elevate you back. You're not saying like, I'm better than you because I've done this and I've done that. You're saying, I've done it so you can too.
Come with me.
Yeah, and I love seeing other Pilates businesses, especially in Derbyshire, because there's loads of us at the moment. I love seeing them win. There's a few in Dronfield that are like expanding their studios at the moment. There's a couple opening up again in Chesterfield. I love watching them win because when they win, I can win. And it's not a competition. It's not a competitive mindset of like, oh crap, they've got more reformer beds. They've done this. They've got a better brand deal. Like any of that nonsense. It's, oh my God, they've done something. So me too.
Mm,
And when I do something like the community event, pushing like the merch and the bottles and the socks and the hoodies and stuff, they can do that too. And we can all, like, even just as women, as a collective in general, we can lead each other by example as a community, not because one of us is better than the other when we deserve that gold star, because we all deserve.
yeah.
All push and encourage each other.
Absolutely. Like that lifting up of each other is so important. Mm. Cheering each other on. And I think putting that energy into the world as well is so important. And when we're coming from this space of lack, we are attracting that. And I think, I know I say that like it's easy to do, it's not, but it's so important. And I wrote about this a while ago, but it's like this idea of like there are 20 coffee shops on every high street and they are always busy.
Yeah.
Or like 99% of them are. So there can be multiple Pilates studios in. I mean, Pilates is just having a moment as it is this year. It's having
We
its
are
its
living our best
moment.
lives in these studios, hopefully. It's abundance mindset. There is enough people in the world. There is enough people in my little village alone that if you want to open up a studio across the road from me, there's enough people. And I've got quite a stylized way of teaching. I'm slow. I'm steady. We do our groundings, we do our affirmations. I talk about the universe. I encourage them all to be the best versions of themselves. If you just want to go and get your workout done and leave and want a bit more of like an upbeat, a little bit like poppier, a little bit, keep it sort of a bit lighter maybe, and just get your workout in and go, I'm not the girl for you. We take our time. I do things with slow, intentional movements, and I make you do the work, but in a slow and steady way. If that's not for you, I've got a list of Pilates studios I can recommend you. And it's knowing that you're in that abundant mindset of like, if you open a coffee shop next to a coffee shop, everybody loves coffee. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
And if we don't love coffee, we like cake. So, there's something for
At
everybody.
least there's a draw on a cup of tea.
This has been such a beautiful conversation, and I've got a couple more questions for you, but I'd just love to ask you. You've teased us a little bit about some ideas in Vietnam, so we can, you can be specific, or I'd love to hear also more kind of from a broad perspective, like what's next for you for manifesting for Hannah's House Pilates.
Yes. So a big picture, I would like us to move to Vietnam in about 5 years' time. We are going to open, this is me and my partner. He doesn't necessarily teach Pilates, he's just really
I thought you say he doesn't know this yet.
Trust me, he knows we're going. We're very excited together. Open up a studio that's a retreat space. So I would like to host like 3 or 4 retreats a year. People from all over the globe, obviously UK focused, but it is absolutely open to all. Come for Pilates retreats, but you go to Hoi An, which is where you have all of your custom-made tailored clothes. If you know Vietnam at all, go and do the cooking classes, go and do the walks, go and go through the Marble Mountain, and focus on that whole holistic, spiritual wellness, everything. And what it would eventually ideally turn into is that other people can hire the space so that when I'm not using it, you can host your retreats and we can do lovely running through the mountain stride retreats and get everybody to come in, use the space as well. Within the next 5 years, for me personally, I would like to become known, at least locally and in our area, within manifestation, talking about it. And I love the idea of transforming your life with manifestation and becoming, whether that's a speaker, a coach, doing my own training within that area to deepen my offering and how I can help women particularly, is something I'd love to do. And I am also trying to become, not immediately, but I will become a teacher of Pilates teachers. So that one of these retreats in Vietnam is going to be where you can fly out, train to be a Pilates teacher with me in Vietnam, look at the sea every single day, rather than I did mine in some hotel gym in Birmingham I went to. My training, not quite the same as coastal Vietnam, and train people and train them not even necessarily in my specific style of training, but just so they get time to have a deeper connection. Because you see some Pilates courses and it's like, goes through the original 34 movements of Joe Pilates and then like off you go. It's so much more than that. And if you let yourself get into the depth of Pilates, it's incredible. And I am such an advocate for it. I would like to advocate other women in particular to do the work as well.
Incredible. Sign me up. I'll come and I'll just move with you. Like, that's all right.
So have you been to Vietnam?
I have, yeah. Yeah, I traveled there. It's stunning. Yeah, I spent about a month there many years ago. It was love to go back and do a retreat. So
Well, now you can. 5 years time, put it in your diary.
see you there.
So that's the big goal. And even then, when we talk about like the vision boards all the time, even if that's 2032, 2035, we're still working towards something. I'm not going to cry January the 1st, 2030, because I don't wake up in Vietnam. It's all still coming for you. And you're all still putting that work, that determination, that grit, that tenacity of it's still coming for you. You've got to trust the process. Trust the universe. It's a very scary thing to...
Yeah. Trust the universe. I love that. And I can only use the word grit to describe you because it shines through. Like, it honestly does. You've hit your core value on the head because you can see that, that tenacity, that grit coming through in everything that you do, and this utter self-belief. And I think that there are but it's needed. And to get to where, I have no doubt in speaking to you that you're going to get where you want to go because you have that utter self-belief.
If you don't 110% back yourself and believe in yourself, and this takes time, this doesn't happen overnight. You don't have to just wake up and think, I'm going to be king of the world. It takes time. You have to learn to back yourself over and over and over again. But if you don't do it, how on earth is everybody else going to? It's very like RuPaul's Drag Race. If you don't love yourself, how on earth is everybody else going to love you? But if you don't eventually, when you've narrowed down exactly what you're doing and you're doing the work consistently every day, I go to therapy every single week still. I have an EFT coach called Kelly, who is amazing. I do the work consistently. I work on myself. I journal, I meditate, I do the stuff that isn't always sexy and fun and interesting. But you have to back yourself in your decision. And if you can't quite back yourself, maybe you need to make a couple of adjustments. Maybe you need to make a couple of things of find the pressure points that they niggle at you that you can't quite believe in yourself for, and do some work around them. Why do they bother you? Why don't you think you can achieve X, Y, and Z? What's your limiting belief around that? And do some work around that.
Amazing. We're just coming towards the end of our time together, but but I do have a final question that I love to ask everyone who comes onto the podcast, and I'd love to ask you, which is, what would you say to past you standing right on the edge of that defining moment?
So I actually did think about this, and I wrote this down. I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm going to try and be a little bit more natural. You have no idea how big that this is going to go. You have no idea how far it's going to take you. And I had been searching for ages, and try and say so crying. I had been searching for ages for the thing that was going to make my mum proud of me. And I've made that. And standing on the edge of that defining moment for me and making the choice to put the hard work in and do the damn thing, I had no idea how big this was going to go. And I think that, as we said at the start, that little bit of a tough love, but a cuddle, it is tough and it needed to be tough. But reading that book changed and continues to change my life. I still read it. I reread it all the time. I wouldn't be the person today without reading it and without putting that effort in. And I almost wish now that when I started manifesting, I'd done even bigger, because I've seen how much it's all come to life and how much it all works. And yes, you have to put the extra work in, but just take that leap of faith. The Hannah from 2020, when I was at some of my lowest stages, to the Hannah of 2025, wouldn't recognise her. We would walk past each other in the street and have no idea who each other person is. I look back now, when I had that weird out-of-body experience the other day, at how far I've come. It makes me so excited for how far I can go and what it's going to turn into and what it's still becoming.
So beautiful.
On to the next page.
And I would love to come back together in a couple years' time and just...
You'll have to fly out to Vietnam and meet me.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, we've got to do that one in person.
That is a business expense.
Yeah. And just to say, not that you need it said by me, but just to hear you reflect that that you've made your mum proud is such a beautiful thing to witness. And I can see it that and you probably know, but you should be very, very proud of yourself, because it is beautiful what you're creating and what you have created already.
Try not to cry.
This end, it always gets us. We're always choking up. Thank you so, so much.
No, thank you for holding space.
Thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story. I know that people listening will be inspired by hearing you, because I feel inspired by hearing you. And yeah, we'll just watch this space. I'll be including Hannah's links, everything, so you can find out more about Hannah, what she's up to, what she's doing below. Yeah, just thanks again, and look forward to hearing what's coming next.
Tiny self-plug. If you did like the manifesting chat and you do want to be with me in person, I'm hosting my first full retreat weekend in November 2025, and you can come join me in person, and I'll try not to cry there as well.
Yes, you heard it here first. Or if you're local, or if you want to travel up to Derbyshire way, there is a spot waiting for you. Thanks, Hannah. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Define. I hope this story reminded you of your own strength, your own shifts, your own becoming. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and journey on.